Fryers, the final position, which I can remember anyway, and this was one of my personal favorites. Now, before you even started, you did have to filter out the fryer oil, which could be a pain in the ass. But once you did it enough, it went like clockwork. Now, on fryers, you are in charge of one thing and one thing only: donuts. You make the sugary coating that covers the donuts, which consists of a few big scoops of sugar and a bit of cinnamon mixed together. You also are in charge of getting the donut cart out of the big walk-in fridge and putting those trays of donuts in the freezer near the fryer. You are also responsible for scooping donut mix out of the containers and making new trays of donuts, about 10 by 6 for every tray that you fried. And most importantly, you were responsible for taking the frozen donuts out of the freezer and cooking them for the proper amount of time in the fryer before rolling them around in the cinnamon sugar coating and then plating them. When you cooked the donuts, you had to make sure to shake the basket you put them in a bunch to make sure they didn't stick to the bottom of it. This position was one of, if not my favorite position at Tomorrowland Terrace Dessert Party. I think the reasons I liked it so much was because I didn't have to run around with my head cut off, I didn't have to interact with any moronic guests, and I didn't have to sweat my balls off in the muggy Florida summer's air. All I had to do was fry up the donuts, scoop them out onto the tray, plate donuts and strawberry sauce when the runner or stalker needed it, and when the day was over, I would simply lock the donut freezer, take the refilled donut cart back to the walk-in fridge, and wipe down my workstation before leaving. In a way, it was the closest possible thing I could get to Zen at TLT. Like, there was one day when the fireworks were delayed to shit and eventually canceled, and it was just a complete shit show out there in the terrace. However, your boy was on fryers that day, and I got to avoid all of that bullshit. I only heard of how bad it was from the people who actually had to deal with it, and they were not having a good time. And that is why I love fryers. It saved me from having to deal with some real bullshit that day.